Hey Lisa, are you having some coffee?
Yes, yeah, I just brewed some and I
Okay.
think it's almost ready now.
Oh, I'd love a
But
cup.
yeah,
Are you having some as well?
I will, yeah, but I think Shiv is on the line now.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So let's
so,
go talk to
okay,
Shiv.
all right.
Great. Hey Shiv, how are you?
Hi, Kanni. Nice to see you.
You too. You too. Lovely to see you. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm enjoying my cup of South Indian decoction coffee right now. Cheers.
Cheers.
Principles behind fair trade coffee, fair wages, proper benefits for workers, the
Yeah.
sustainable way coffee is grown. This is what human security is all about.
Um, there was always this what makes it different and why should we really focus in on human security? What can we do about it?
Yeah, so let me start by saying, we're all primarily advocates of human development. But then we also find that there are many countries that have advanced in terms of human development. But what the COVID-19 pandemic has also exposed is the fragility of the foundations of most of these countries.
Right.
That while human development is essential, it does not guarantee human security and human security in the lives of ordinary people. And I think if we looked at what has happened, the lack of helplessness of people, the lack of preparedness among individuals, families, communities, the governments tackling the pandemic show why it is so important to prioritize both human development and human security.
So tell me a little bit if you center in on human security, right? And you take a couple of countries or even states within a country that have really done that and followed that. How have they been able to withstand the pandemic shock? Have they done better in some ways? What have we learned?
That's human security really, if you deconstruct the term, it really talks about, it has many dimensions. There is economic security, food security, health security, nutritional security. Environmental security is also extraordinarily important given the impacts of climate change on people's lives. And there's also physical and personal security. So human security is really looking at how to give uh, people a steady source of income, how to prevent people from suffering from hunger, how do you ensure needed medical attention without having, when you don't have the means to pay for it, and so on and so forth. Many of these countries have not created decent jobs. That there has been growth. A majority of people are employed in temporary jobs or jobs that are not secure. The problem of migrant workers, daily wage earners, was the youth unemployment. And in fact, for many of these people, being unemployed is really not an option. So they really are forced to take up poor paying jobs under poor working conditions with very poor prospects.
What can we do to improve the state of human security for that population, this large percentage of young people who are going to be in either informal sector or in self-employment?
Absolutely right. I think three things to me are critical. One is, of course, to ensure universal health coverage to all these people. Today, if you ask me, one of the major reasons for further impoverishment of families, and I'm really talking also not just to the poor, but low income families and even some middle income families, it is the inability to pay for medical bills.
UNDP, yourself, many people we've worked with have been asking, pushing, cajoling, negotiating for universal health care, right? But this is just not happening. Is this a pipe dream, or is this something that you feel with the pandemic, the realization that this is a must is more within our grasp now?
I think there was a momentum building up for universal health coverage, even before the pandemic. Many countries, if I'm not wrong, almost 70, 80 middle income countries had already started planning for universal health coverage. And then I think what the pandemic has done has to really create that opportunity and a challenge that we cannot afford to ignore universal health coverage. But what this COVID pandemic has also brought in is the critical importance of the engagement of community.
Right.
So while we keep talking about the public sector and private sector, that is from a supply side perspective. Who is going to provide the facilities? Who is going to provide? Is it a private hospital or a government hospital? Yes, we can address those things. A nice a mix of, most countries, you'll have a mix of those, even if they're state funded. Right. Healthcare systems, they do contract in the private sector, but that's all from a supply side point of view. Sure. But what we are now discovering is that the health-seeking behavior of people has to change. And there is such a vaccine hesitancy today. People just are reluctant to go and take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Are you seeing that around you in parts of India?
In many parts, not just in India where I live, but many parts of Asia and South Asia, we find that people just haven't realized how critical it is.
So take a couple of other aspects of human security for me.
Yeah, so the second one that I'm going to talk about is basic education.
Yes. Yeah.
And, the issues of equity, quality, of just schooling, the learning achievements. There's a huge educational crisis. The inequalities and disparities between boys and girls, children belonging to different communities, minority groups, etc., was quite stark. But the digital platforms now, which have been necessitated by COVID-19, have really made it impossible, virtually impossible. And children in India and other places have lost over a year and a half of school education.
And we're not even going to see the impact or the consequence of that for a while to come, right? But that we're going to carry that gap with us.
Yeah. Because we are not able to provide good quality schooling, the focus then shifts to skills building.
Right.
So what do you do if you have graduated from school in class 10 or class 12, but can't find a job?
There are one or two things that as UNDP we really should urge investing in this concept of centering on human security, right? And it not being a pipe dream, that it is within reach. What would we be advising governments, private sector, communities? What would we be saying that here are the one or two things that are undeniably the issues to either put policy behind and put money behind?
We have to combine both human development and human security. And that really means we have to, when I talk about a new priorities, it has to mean embedding values that are human values that are often enshrined in our constitutions. That has to really come up. I think we cannot have societies without a social protection floor or systems of social transfers to needy communities. I'd also include, like we have talked about, universal health coverage, universal basic income, and so on.
All of this is going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah. But it's about reprioritizing. It is, if you invest today, you will reap the benefits tomorrow. We need also effective democracies. And I flag that because it's not just about economic and social policies. We need a well-educated society where you can express, you have the freedom to express your views without fear. We need a free press whose reporting on the failures of the ruling administration does not stand compromised. We definitely need a culture of open public discussion. And I raise this because across the world, we are finding the stifling of voices, because without discussion, you're not going to achieve much.
It's almost as though, just like those who invested in coffee futures are riding out this storm, right, of the drop in production in Brazil. Similarly, it's almost like we need to invest in human futures, right? In the capabilities, in human security, in human development, but as a today and a future investment, and that'll help us ride out this storm. But thank you so much. This is wonderful to having touch base with you. Thank you, Shiv.
Thank you so much, Kanni. Let me have a sip of my coffee now, and really
enjoy
cheers again.
Enjoy it.